The thing has been hit. The thing is on. All right, everybody. Observing. Observers like us. What the heck do we actually see? What do we sense? What is it all made of? These are very good questions, and that's why I have my co-host who may help give us a two-dimensional perspective on what might be going on. Fizz?
Oh, I know I should be wary. Still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose.
It's showtime!
I am rude as always. Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. And aside from a little bit of shining interference here from something up above, most notably a lamp, yes, the lamp is true. But, in my opinion there. But we're going to be talking about observer theory, mostly because we had ChatGPT 4.0, whatever the heck version is, it generated this adorable little picture of Fizz, and I totally didn't use it. I was running late, so I just did something else before I even really looked at it and was like, oh my god, this is so much better. So where are we? We have our little Fizz meeting the thinker right here. I mean, look! It's adorable! It's got like waves. It's got like amplitude. It's got like, I don't know if there's a black hole. It's got some flowers. And most importantly, it got your gem. At least pretty accurately.
That's so good.
It's learning far too well. But
Fur isn't quite accurate, but I don't care. It's freaking so cute.
it could be a Fizz variant. There we go. It's like
Yeah.
everything. It's like in Giga Bash. They have different skins apparently. But hey, welcome, Rick. Thank you for joining, my friend. Yes, we are broadcasting on the YouTubes, and I finally clicked two more things, and we are broadcasting on the Twitters. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter. I realize I am dead naming the platform. It's Twitter.
The platform doesn't care. It prefers Twitter.
That's the reference point. It's kind of like, I remember, like, what was it? Like, you get like a cable company like Comcast or something. They do a rebranding. What do they call it? They call it Xfinity. Coincidentally, a lot of these companies seem to just like putting X into their names.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I want this." It's like you do realize it's basically the same thing, just in like areas with like some upgraded technology and stuff, so they can differentiate, right? But it's what people know it as, the most common thing. You can say X, it's like, are you talking about the X Games? Are you talking about this? Are you talking about that Xfinity Communications? Or are you talking about the X? Maybe you meant a couple more X's, and maybe that's a little bit of an adult time thing. I don't know there. But hey, welcome, Joey Duck, my friend. This is good to see you. Good to see you. I do like some of your, when you put out some of those music things in synthesis, I don't know how it works. I probably should learn how it works, because apparently frequency modulation is very important for different stuff going on. So now let's get to the meat of this. Observer theory. That's something that I've heard mostly from the greater Wolfram side of things and everything. I went back and listened to a live stream from 2 years ago that apparently I had popped in there at one point, but upon basically going back and listening to things now, like 3 years later, like actually having looked into and painstakingly gone through some different calculations, like been like, why is this not working? And just like pouting my head in shame, asking all these different questions. Basically, I can go back to stuff now. It's like, I almost kind of understand what they're talking about. But speaking about talking about things, we're going to get a perspective of my Celestial Wolf Girl co-host on the things that we might be able to detect. So Fizz, let's take it away. What are the different stuff and things that you notice in the world that you can sense in particular?
Well, you got the whole five senses kind of dealio. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory.
How many senses?
5.
Continue.
right? And then the mysterious sixth sense, which I do believe everyone has. Just everybody describes it differently. I call that gut instinct. Not so much I see dead people, but more like I'm in danger.
I think we call that within certain realms of the comic book verse, spidey senses tingling.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
It's
Not everybody likes
it,
Spideys though, so that's why I just keep it to
yeah,
the old sixth sense.
yeah. It's
Six, wow, sense. There we go. That's the word.
yes, words. Hey, Fractal. Thank you
Those are
for
just
joining, my friend. But continue, Fizz.
um. I put that somewhere in the realm of instinct. Oh,
See, that's very interesting that you're putting in that classification. Because if we're gonna, most of us, at least I was taught growing up, it's like, oh, you get five primary senses. What are they? It's like, all right, touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing. It's like,
mm,
all right, we can detect things. And I thought about that before, and then I started to like quantify it in like the sciencey way. Like, what are those factors? I'm not exactly sure, to be fair, because I'm like, a lot of it I think actually depends on if you include mass. But then I'm like, well, if we are the detector itself, we're kind of made of mass, or at least now Fizz. No disrespect. We don't need to talk about your mass unless we're talking about the pixels and get converted to electron volts, because electron volts, as we know, is the universal tool of measurement. Why? We can give you masses, lengths, and times in relation to electron volts.
mm,
I I did not. That was something because occasionally it's like, all right, electron volt. That sounds like energy, something in a battery or something. We can do some stuff with it. It's like, all right, that's cool. And then like occasionally you go into Wolfram Alpha and you look up like a length of something. You're like, oh, it's 10 to 26 electron volts or whatever it is. You're like, wait, that's supposed to be a distance. Why is it using the same thing? But apparently that's something that happens to be within science, or we could express in a particular way. For somebody like me, that's not a professionally trained physicist that hasn't gone through all the rudimentary coursework, it was a wee bit confusing. And then you start to break it down. It's like, well, if it's all just energy and it's just vibrationary oscillations and stuff like that, it's like, all right, you got stuff, it's doing things. Now, the particular stuff doing the stuff and things may vary. Ultimately, it's like a promotional thing for like McDonald's or something. It's like price and participation may vary. So it's like you can adjust those parameters, and then depending on how you put them together, that's how we get to. Yes, I realize that's a very basic description of what's going on. Might be completely wrong. That's why we conjecture ahead. So Fizz, let's take the sixth sense, so to speak, or perhaps intuition of observers like us, which is interesting
mm,
because one might say that whole, if we're going to have a sixth sense, that might be an emergent phenomena. And what I mean is there's simpler things going on, but as you get more and more complex, different things might unlock. It's kind of like once you upgrade your Charmeleon to like Charizard or something like that, it adds some more complexity. It might have some new abilities it can gain access to. So that's my, of course, I'm going to go to Pokemon for the reference to what's going on. But aside from that intuitive sense you were describing, Fizz, pick another sense. Any anyone?
uh,
Yes, I ramble on for like 4 minutes, and it's like, Fizz, pick a thing.
those are the ones that we have like sensory organs for in order
Mm,
to
mm.
acquire and interpret that information. Um,
I mean, that sounds good. I'll go with it. Hey,
uh,
Upcycle.
so
Thanks
yeah,
for
we
joining,
already
friend.
gave names to all the senses that we have definite organs for. Um,
I I actually don't know what that means. It sounds very familiar. I feel like if it was used in a different sentence, I would recognize that. Vestibular sense. Hold on. I'm not sure where this is going to take me. Fizz. Continue deciding on the sense to dissect.
oh, we gonna dissect one.
Oh yeah, that's why I said pick one. Just pick one. Like it's say
Oh,
yeah. It's no. It was not a fizz. Define this. No. It was multiple choice. Sorry.
um, hearing is one of the easy ones to break down. How it works.
Oh, coincidentally, that's what Rick was talking about because apparently the vestibular sense is relating to a vestibule, particularly that of the inner ear, or more generally, the sense of balance.
Mm,
Oh, that's
uh,
why, like you, I think we get dizzy because we get all discombobulated. So our vestibular sense goes, ooh, fall down.
yeah, vertigo, motion sickness, um, pretty much all links to the inner ear.
Okay,
And a little bit
so
to the
now,
eyes too.
hmm, so let's do this. All right. So the sense of hearing is respective. Basically, how do we hear things? We hear sounds. Okay. They're like, well, sound. I know what that is. I speak words that make sound. Okay. When you break it down, it's like, all right, words are coming out of my mouth, or at least some people may say that. Okay. Now, there's a projection of air at particular frequencies coming out. What's that doing? That's shaking the other air molecules, and they're vibrating and everything like that. And then we got these crazy little Apple devices that I'm sure are totally safe in my ears, going right down, kind of projecting kind of like conical formats to pick up. And again, yes, my beard gets in the way. I understand this. But it's then picking up those frequencies. It's then converting it into some electromagnet form of electromagnetism, and basically it's sending a wave. It's doing a little pulse, doing a little frequency, and then whoever's listening to this, either your speakers, your headsets, or whatever, they're doing as close to the vibrations as they can replicate. So it does the vibration, and then you see like my mouth and everything like that, and then you start to eventually, hopefully, no technical difficulties, you will hear the words coming out of my mouth.
Yep, it's all about good vibrations.
Good vibrations.
Audible
Yes, and
vibrations. Yep.
I.
And different critters can hear different ranges of
Hmm.
their ears can detect different ranges of those vibrations than others, as well as be able to make different ranges of sounds than others with their face holes and stuff.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cut and dry.
So we say that. All right, we're going to slightly confuse things here because I know at least there's enough smart people that could hear right now that could help me. All right. So we hear sound. What the heck is sound? I don't know. Let's do this as a unit. Let's see if this actually does anything different. Okay, speed of sound, approximately 340 meters per second. That's already there. All right, I need to go back to physical quantity. Okay. Oh, big L sub P. That's not going to confuse. Bell SP. It's input interpretation. This is the actual scientific name of what sound is. Logarithmic sound pressure level.
Uh,
So, at least from that, if there's one thing we know that might be involved with some of the stuff,
Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Log from Blammo.
okay. Well, it's just based on natural logarithms. That's what happens with the E thing. All right, so sound pressure level. All right, so we got something molecules and something pressure. So you got a frequency of pressure. So I'm going to guess something time and something length. Because at that point, if we've got something moving over a unit of time, all right, we can do a wave. We can do a wave. We can do a little vibratory particle if we want to think in the billiards ball terms for at least a rough guesstimate there. So you basically got all this stuff going around, vibrating at these different frequencies. So I'm going to guess we get something distance or length. We've probably got some frequency, so there's probably some time in there somewhere. And I think we require mass for us to actually be able to detect it, because those little molecules, there is some mass there because they got to be jiggling around in particular ways for us to pick up there. So that is my guess. Just because when you actually start going, it's like, oh well, what is this? Let's click on this. Does it give us any better actual terms? No, it just keeps on giving us conversions. So for at least a little thing, like, okay, pascals. That's like a pressure thingy. That's what was it? So they're like, what was it? Okay, so like I'm on like the East Coast right now. So on the East Coast, we've basically got like approximately sea level, a little bit above sea level. But the thing is, when I go up to Utah, all of a sudden you're up about 5,000 feet. Oh, that's a little shy of a mile. I realize why the varying temperatures on different things are there. Because if you're cooking at higher elevation, apparently things cook faster. At least that's been my thing. I'm like, wait a second. The chicken fingers actually only need to be in for 16 to 18 minutes? As opposed to out here, it feels like I need to spend at least 30 plus minutes and then turn them and then spend like another 10 for them to get crispy enough. I don't know. Um, might just be a personal user problem or perhaps a device
Hmm.
as we ramble on. So we get the vibrations require temporal context. Okay. All right. No, that means it's, well, how do you have your stuff do its thing if you don't allow it to do its thing? You might have a stuff that if it's not going to move at all, it's kind of hard to vibrate if you're just staying still. I think that's kind of the definition of vibration. So, okay. And what we got? Fractal. Fractal is saying this observer is looking out through a fleshy instrument, but ultimately, I am not the instrument. Oh, see, fractal. I think this is where I hear some of the arguments where it's
We
like,
get deep now.
it's very deep fizz.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like there's going to be some, at least according to my very poor knowledge of modern science and physics, there's a percent of uncertainty. And where are we going to attribute that? Are we going to attribute that to basically our measuring device? Are we going to attribute it basically just to the natural world as far as we know it? Or are we going to attribute it to us? So ultimately, I feel, because I always hear kind of the term from like either Jonathan Garrod or Professor Wolfman very often. It's like, all right, where are we going to punt the burden of observation? It's like, all right, is it solely on us? Is it solely on our realm of persistence? Is it solely on the device? And depending on where you want to put the uncertainty, it's like, all right, you can move it over here, but now you got to figure out what's actually happening. And apparently that's a very difficult thing, which I'm all right with that. Oh, analog, that's interesting. Because analog is basically just a waveform, but we typically will do that through different coax or copper or some form of a conduit like that. Digital is supposed to be pulses of light, so yeah, that's basically I think a Hertz function right there would be just your frequency. But in order to hear, as observers like us, we would need to have some mass, uh, basically in order to do the actual vibration. But oh, that's interesting. The traveling pressure wave. Ah, so if we just do, all right, take off all these fancy things. I told Fish she wouldn't have to do any terrifying numbers of stuff. We're just going to do units and stuff. All right. So Pascal, what the heck is that? Oh, that was that dude that I think did all like those measurements and stuff like that. So let's just break it down to what is it made of? All right. Kilogram, that's mass. We got meters, and we've got seconds squared. All right, so it's kilogram. So it's mass divided by length and time squared. Okay, so I was off because it's a form of acceleration since time is squared. Because normally if you just do, what is it, like meters divided by seconds? Okay, what's that going to be? It's a length divided by a time. Unit of length by time. What is it? Oh, speed. Duh. It's like you drive a car, or it's doing 60. What is that? Oh, that's our non-metric conversion. So we're doing about 100 kilometers per hour. All right, so within an hour, we'll go travel 100 kilometers. Boom. It's like, okay, we understand that. But now, if we get fancy, let's add another dimension. Because remember, there also only happen to be, at least within the model to my understanding, you can boil down our dimensions of reality to just 5. Fizz, you're getting very sad. What's the
Yeah.
matter? Why? Why are you sad?
Because
You just
I
napping?
forgot to eat. I forgot to eat today, and also all this mathing.
Oh, yeah. I totally had a donut right before. Otherwise, I would be very hangry. So, all right, I'll do my little thing. I don't even know. Is this? Oh, this comes out to what? Oh, wait. No, it's converting it to force. Yes, that's confused me a bunch before. Okay. Oh, well, Newton's all right. We get some one dimensions there. And what did it say it was? It was, seconds squared. There we go. -2. All right. Boom. Boom. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, so it gives us 1 newton. There we go. All right. 1 unit of force there. There we go. Okay. So we were off by one degree of acceleration there. All right. This is hopefully getting her noms. It's,
Yeah, I'm eating
oh,
these
yeah.
nuts, and it's kind of loud.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I just don't
I'm
like you
not
being
even
sad.
joking. I'm eating I'm eating nuts, so it's a little loud.
Saying that the improper understanding of sound pressure as if it was a static pressure. Oh, so it's varying. I mean, that does make sense. Because depending on how, what's the term Professor Carroll uses? The spherical cow. So I remember he starts off his lecture series going through that. He's like, there's no such thing as a spherical cow. But we assume an idealized model. Why? That's a lot easier to work with than reality. Hence why it's a model. The map is not necessarily the territory. If the map were to be the territory, well, that's might be a very philosophical thing. I don't know. Does that mean we win the game if all of a sudden there's no uncertainty? I don't know. It's I'm sure a lot of philosophers of just pretty much anything, natural philosophy, if you would probably have some different takes on that. Let's see, what's this thing here? Devices bodies are needed for conscious observers to perceive the energetic realm of existence, but the devices are filtered, so the perception of that energy is incomplete and distorted. I mean, I think we know that. I think we know that because we're only getting because I'll hear different folks that's like, what does a measuring device do? And my basic trolley response is it goes click. Why? It registers a detection. So maybe it does a lot of clicks. Maybe it has a big click. Maybe it is only tuned for very particular types of clicks there. But usually it's like, what's the detector do? It detects. It's detecting what we're trying to measure to the best of our knowledge, our technology, and our accuracy of this time here. And well, that's nerdy. We were just going over sound. My description is extraordinarily roughshod. I was off by Oh God, I was off by a dimension of time there. It was more of an acceleration, things there. I was describing it, like Rick was saying, in a bit more of a static form. I'm just imagining it's like, oh, well, this is sound. It's like, well, sound is literally an oscillation. It needs to vibrate by itself. Otherwise, if there's no vibration, if there's no transfer of any of that stuff, how are we going to hear anything? So we at least, I think we should incorporate what Rick was saying about just understanding there's going to be change there because I think entropy is eternal. Maybe it's not. That would be interesting. I don't know. Is it an absolute right there? Yes. But basically, we were just talking about. I had gone back and watched one of the Wolfram physics videos when they were talking about observer theory, and you're breaking down the things. And it's like, well, what do observers like us observe? It's like, all right, you try to break down what it is. So we've done Fizz, if you're done eating, or if you're still eating, I'll just carry on. It's okay. You keep eating. Okay. So we've done sound. All right. Let's go. Shall we go to an easier one or a more difficult one? That's my
How about
question.
taste since I'm eating?
Oh, that's a good one. All right.
It's a little
But
harder too.
yes, we got the vibes and the click relativity. Music is an organizing count, and it's you see some of the things that people have done in the past. You're like, that's freaking magic. All right, so taste. That's a good question. Okay, so how the heck does taste work? All right, I put something in my mouth. I taste chocolate. Why? Because it's freaking chocolate. Now, why does it taste like chocolate? That's a great question. I'm going to say possibly in part due to my reference of other people being, this is chocolate, this is delicious. So thereby, it's probably going to increase their likelihood to like chocolate. But what do you have there? All right, you have something that I think at least food and generally we can use calories. Calories, I think that infers that there is some mass involved. So we got some mass, and then I think when the chocolate starts melting in your mouth, hopefully not in your hand, it will then start to disperse there. And we'll have to cover some different areas. And I feel like there's some different polygons or those different little shapes that you see in some of those different medicines. And that's how different molecular structures work. So I'm going to say there's a mass, there's something probably with distance or length, and it's probably going to be a charge. That is my, and well, to be fair, it probably kind of has to have some temperature too. Or maybe we should,
And
maybe
don't
that's a
forget,
little too,
you can actually kind of taste air too.
yes, yes.
Also,
Oh,
don't forget
Lord.
that it's linked very closely with the sense of smell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Oh, see, I was going to say, actually, hold on. Temperature might not be in taste, just because I'm thinking ouchies, but I think that's more of a touch thing because you're not really tasting like the ouch. I've literally scalded my mouth. You're literally just burning and hurting yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say maybe temperature's not involved. That might be a contributing factor to enjoyment for beings like us that are like about 209 degrees Kelvin or something like that. I think it's like 290.
Well, the taste buds are still on skin, and skin is your touch sensory, your main touch sensory organ. So that would be the burning, the um temperature would be more of a touch department.
Okay, I get that. No, that's. I mean, I don't have anything better for that. I'm just trying to think. Okay, so if oh my God, is this where
Which
we hit
is
the intersect
different
of
from
consciousness?
spicy though. Spicy is a taste thing,
Okay,
not necessarily temperature.
here we go. No, we can actually maybe this is our trigger. Maybe if we can go through capsaicin.
It always
Let's
tasted
see
like
what it.
chicken because like the T-Rex technically tasted like chicken.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think chickens are their ancestors. So
Yeah, so everything would taste like. Well, scientists can't even decide if they were lizards or not. Like so, but yeah, everything tasted like cold-blooded critters.
is that why we mammals came about? Because we were that much tastier. Yeah. All right. So I just went down the capsaicin Wolfram Hole. So we're going through here. All right. It's oh no, it's not found in Boston. However, we're gonna have to import it. We're gonna have to charge
Boston
like
is
massive amounts of gold bars for the pepper trade across. Oh dear.
Boston
But
is so bland. Oh my goodness, Boston, blandest state.
hey, they call it New England for a reason. Leave us alone. But yes, I digress a little bit. Okay. No, but it's when you just break down the little graph here, it's like, what the heck is this? It's like, all right, plantea. That sounds like plants. Trabatana, spermophyra,
Rodney,
megalopopha, megalophoid,
now we're hitting the
estridae,
STDs.
solanaceae, capsaicin. I apologize to my biologist friends. I just butchered up so many different like classes, kingdoms, categories. But it's like, okay, it breaks down What else do
Eric's
we
here. Hi,
have?
Eric, and Laura's here. Hello.
Ooh, buffalo lizards. Oh, no. Yes. Oh, how does your feel? Skull of insects. Yes, yes. I remember it was it. I had raw jalapenos before. They were, I think, like 70,000 or so. And then at one point, we had the old world's hottest sauce, Mad Dog Inferno sauce. It was like a million skulls per drop. I ate about one. What's a teaspoon or tablespoon? Whatever's the larger one. I ate that.
Table.
I was a dare at a football dinner for $37. It was not worth eating for $37. You felt that go all the way through you. Oh, I tried. I tried to expel it from my stomach. I only had the dry heaves. It was terrible. I couldn't get it out until it
So,
got out.
what do you think
But
is worse? These plants going in your mouth, or when they come out the other end?
oh, oh, I don't know. I don't. I'm not. Um.
I honestly think by the time they get to the other end, they've been they're less potent because a lot of their
I think it's been
spice,
despicified. Yeah, I think
has
you've
been
digested most of the
removed.
pain.
Yeah,
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 yeah. Oh,
yeah.
hey, Laura.
Still definitely not pleasant, but like it goes away way faster. You don't even need milk.
Ah, yes. Genus, phylum, all those different words and stuff. Yes. So to the best of my knowledge, the way that tastes work is you need to put some stuff in there. All right, so there's got to be some mass. It's got to have a shape. So I'm gonna guess there's probably 3 dimensions of length in there because you got to have like some shape, whether it's a square or a triangle or a tetrahedron or cube. Excuse me, I was in the wrong dimensions there. But you see all these kind of like you'll see it for like bacteria and like different viruses and then different things like within like the human body. You'll see like all these polygons in a particular way, and you'll see occasionally this little thing. It's like seems to be walking along this little grid, and you're like, that's freaking crazy. But that seems to apparently be nature. Um, but as you're just looking at what's going on, it's like, all right, I'm gonna guess again, mass. And then time, I don't know if time has a factor. I mean, I guess you could say it's going out there, but I think once it comes in contact, I think that's more of like the chewing aspect. Um, then again, you might just need time in and of itself.
Well,
Okay, to be fair, time might go on.
instead of thinking about taste in terms of eating, think of taste in terms of just licking random stuff, like applying your taste buds to random things. Forget the eating part because that is not necessary for tasting.
Ah, so it's basically I lick a lamppost. Hopefully, my tongue doesn't get frozen.
Mm.
Hmm.
Sometimes you
Okay,
lick stuff
so
that tastes
that's
like ass because it's literal ass. Sometimes you lick stuff that tastes like ice cream because it's ice cream.
never shall the two meet.
Hopefully.
That's don't Google it. But
But also, Nerdy Rodent said, "Can you taste with other bits of your body?" Thank goodness, not really, but technically, your nose, sort of.
mm, because well, I was gonna say it can be hard. Like when if you get sick, if you get congested, if you don't really have a sense of smell, very often stuff kind of doesn't taste all that good. So maybe rather than
Mm,
thinking of them as individual, they're like co-senses, if you would, because in order to maximize taste, you typically want to have a good aroma. Because if it stinks like garbage, I think most folks usually aren't fans. Because I was gonna say when you were talking about like you can almost taste things, it's kind of like if you have some garbage maybe didn't get thrown out and it's kind of been sitting somewhere and you forgot about it in the garage or something. You also open an old bin. You're, oh my God. It literally tastes like hot garbage. Now, you may not have actually tasted it, but you got a whiff. So you're getting some form of a geometry of mass or something carrying these different shapes. And there's got to be some charge involved. I'm going to guess there because there's probably some protons and neutrons and different atoms that are probably help it bind there. And then once it goes through there, you're going to emerge as something tastes like chocolate. I
Well,
think this
now
is a very bright gun.
the act of tasting, something does have to touch your taste buds, but that is why I said don't forget you can kind of taste air because we can breathe through our mouth. So it's all connected to our sinuses. When you can't smell, you can still taste things. And if you can't taste, you can still smell things. So if you lost your sense of taste, you'd still be able to smell. You lose your sense of smell, you'd still have your sense of taste, but it definitely won't be as detailed a taste. It will definitely be a lot more bland to you, because the smell is part of it. It is part of the taste. But this is also like why you smell something bad, you want to gag. It's because your body's just like, what the fuck did you just try to eat? Don't eat that. Uh, and this is also why you can imagine how some stuff tastes just by smelling it. And you're just like, oh no. But uh people get past this somehow. Apparently, some of the stinkiest stuff is some of the tastiest stuff, I am told.
Mm.
I'm actually told some of the stuff I like eating stinks to high heaven, and I'm like, I don't know, it smells tasty to me. But so that's also kind of interesting. I can't stand the smell of peas, but they're safe to eat. But they make me
What? Peas?
peas. The smell of peas cooking.
The smell of peas cooking. But that's
Mhm.
like a minimal smell, or okay, all right, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
that fruit is one of the ones I think of on some cheeses. Yeah. Um.
Oh, the durian fruit. Oh, I think I've
mm,
heard of that. Is it supposed to be like it smells terrible but tastes delicious or something?
that's what I hear.
Oh,
Um.
let's see.
But yeah, that's also what's also interesting when it comes to eating is we use a lot of senses there, right? If something looks disgusting to our eyes, we're less likely to want to eat it. If it smells disgusting to our nose, we're less likely to want to eat it. If it has a fucked up weird texture, that's your sense of touch. Some people can't stand eating it because of texture. Um,
I
a lot goes
I wonder.
into eating, but taste is just one of those things. All the senses really go into eating, though.
This is this is very interesting. I wonder if this is kind of like where they the litmus test. If anybody, if they even still do that, where they give you give everybody in class like a little tab. And yes, as far as I know, it's not a tab of narcotics. It's basically just a little piece of litmus paper. You put it in your mouth. It's like, do you taste something? And typically, I think around like half the people don't taste the thing, and then half the people are like, oh, I tasted something. So I wonder if it's like this because they're saying that as far as the durian fruit, some people regard the durian as having a pleasantly sweet fragrance, whereas others find the aroma overpowering and unpleasant. The smell evokes reactions ranging from deep appreciation to intense disgust. The persistence of its odor, which may linger for several days, has led to some hotels and public transportation services in Southeast Asia to ban the fruit.
Mm.
Okay?
Here's something else interesting about the sense of taste and smell, specifically, is
Hit it.
you can slowly lose your sense of taste over time, and that
Hmm.
can kind of mess with your sense of smell. And also like different kind of brain damages can mess with your sense of smell too. So there's different things that will mess with, those sensory tools that you're built with, that we have. And that is why we get different perceptions of the same smell. So that fruit might legitimately smell sweet to some people because that is all that their nose is picking up. That And it
Oh.
might be too strong and funky for other people because their noses are picking up way more of the smell. And that goes along with taste. Some stuff is going to taste sweet to people and might taste bitter to somebody else because it depends on how their taste buds are doing, how well their taste buds and their smell is doing their job.
Yeah, how would you, because if you think about it, it's like, all right, well, if everybody is a little bit different there, We have some general commonalities. What is that? It's like, well, our baseline for tasting most things seems to be chicken, whatever the reason. Um, might not be scientifically correct, but as a shorthand thing, I think it may work, or at least we say it is. But as far as that goes, I'm like, all right, so if everybody's sense of taste, their tongues, their taste buds, their receptors, uh, your sinus cavity and everything, if everything's a little bit different, and then you have these things, and these things are typically constant, maybe a little bit different, more or less, but it's like, all right, you get some chocolate, you get some onions and stuff in there. Maybe it depends upon the precise shape, the number, and where upon those different receptors it falls for us to be able to quantify what is taste to us. And there's probably some adaptive pressures that happen. Well, I don't know, if you're living on Earth and you got, I don't know, thousands of generations or so, and you're going through, it's like, oh, people will adapt. And wherever you are, you're probably going to adapt to be able to deal with different things. And if you're not from a particular area, maybe you'll adapt a little bit different to your surroundings there.
There's
Um,
also going technically like going nose blind, which is your brain gets so used to a smell that it's like, okay, we don't need to tell you that it sticks out as a weird smell. Like it's obviously a normal smell for here. Um, but then you get somebody else, that's not used to the smell of whatever it is, come and then they smell that smell and they're like, holy crap, what is that? And you're kind of like, what is what? Because you don't notice.
mm,
It doesn't stand out as a smell anymore.
Well, that
Uh,
yes, you can. Yeah, it's a lot of folks depending on like certain folks like they happen to have like a lot of animals or stuff like that. And if somebody's from like a
mm,
place where there's not really animals, it's like if you're used to a whole bunch of different animals, it's like you're probably not going to notice it because that becomes like your baseline, your reference point. But if somebody's not used to that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, it might be too much stimulation for them. They're like, oh, this place smells crazy because not used to it. It's kind of like if you've never been to a farm, if you go to a farm, you might be like, I do not like the smell of a farm. Why? It's got farm smells. If you've never been around a farm, you're probably not going to be used to it. If you're around a farm a whole bunch, well, maybe that's probably going to bring you back some nostalgia and everything. Even if you're walking by a pig pen and stuff, okay, maybe not as much for the pig pen, but again, everybody's a wee bit different. But I've never been a huge fan of coconut. And then again, I also cheat and like if you get like a Mounds or Almond Joy, it's like they're kind of cutting it with chocolate. So
yeah,
the
I'm sugar.
consistency and stuff is better. But no, coconut water is delicious. Personally, I love coconut water. Just the meat itself, it's kind of chewy and stuff like that. That's not really what I'm looking for. I don't know, a fruit or a nut. I'd rather have a pineapple. But
I
that's
got
me
some.
personally.
They were talking about deodorant. That's because in order to sell this stuff, um, they had to convince people they stank. But prior to that, we were all nose blind to BO because that was the norm.
No, that's because everybody smelled like it.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, if you,
everybody smelled like BO, so everybody was nose blind to it because it's not a big deal. Um, until they invented ways to tone down the BO. Now people being stinky. Now BO stands out because we're not nose blind to it anymore. We covered it up and we are conditioned to cover it up. So when someone's not, woo boy, you can tell. But another example too of different things tasting depending on how well your sensory organs function. Um, a good example is dog food tastes disgusting, but dogs seem to think it's super yummy. Well, dogs have like a bazillion times better sense of smell, which probably also makes their sense of taste way different as well. So that stuff must smell and taste amazing to dogs. Whereas us with our puny little mm, inferior noses and stuff, um, it tastes nasty.
hello,
Yeah.
Bio, my old friend.
Don't ask how I know.
It's Fizz,
Look,
Fizz.
look.
It's
When I
okay.
was in wolf form, it was awesome, and so I assumed it was going to. continue to be awesome. It did not.
So you're saying when you became much more humanoid in form, dog food became much more lackluster.
Yeah, I came disgusting. I got a different nose and different taste buds right now.
Oh, I'm sure
Everyone dumped their poo
Piper.
and pee in the streets. Look,
There's
we were
a
nose blind to a lot. Well, I say we. I mean, y'all. You humans were nose blind to a lot of stuff, okay?
listen. It's not like one of the biggest things that was going to end the Western civilization was going to be the amount of horse crap on Wall Street back in the day. Just because we didn't really have motor vehicles, so people were getting around on horses and buggies, and horses require input, which they would then output on the streets. That's not the horse's fault. We're using the
A
horses.
really,
And
really
now it's like, oh, we
long
got too much
time to
cars, so we have
invent
other
those
problems.
sacks that you attach to horses' butts. Took like way too long for humans to invent that. What the hell, man?
It's okay. I spent far too much time looking. Here's the thing.
Looking at horse
I
butts?
understand. Listen, as far as I understand, for whatever climate changey things there are, as far as contributing to the stuff we're putting in the atmosphere, number one, the production of concrete is huge. Apparently, they're starting to learn how to recycle it. If you can do it with green energy ways, maybe that'll do something. I don't know. And one of the other ones is essentially flatulence from livestock and stuff like that. The thing is, you can totally propose a cow fart tax. Now, people have the right to criticize you every time and giggle, cow fart tax. I understand. I understand people have the right to make fun. It's because it sounds funny. I understand. And apparently there's data to kind of like back that. Hey, again, I'm not a climatologist or stuff like that. These are things that as a dude on the internet I've heard. All right. So I think we kind of did hearing. Taste, maybe that's
And
magic.
smell.
Yeah, no, because those goes hand in hand.
They
Because
really
I
do.
feel like smell increases your potential of magnitude of taste. So maybe that's why the dog food was bland. Because if you could smell more and have a better ability to process all the wonderful flavors that are in dog food, maybe it would be tastier.
Yeah, that was the point that I was making of why that stinky fruit smells good to some humans and bad to other humans. Is it's all about how much detail their sensory organs are picking up, um, and how dog food must taste awesome to dogs because they can pick up way more sensory detail.
See, the interesting thing
Either that,
too
or
is when you
some dogs will just eat anything, though.
yeah. Well, then again, I mean that's kind of like people too. So it's like you have generally what's here, and then it's
Well,
like
that's true. I keep seeing warnings on packagings for human food that says, "Warning: Do not eat packaging." Um, I have it on good authority that dogs can't read, so that is there for humans. And what the hell?
listen, Fizz. There's reasons why we have labels like "Do not drink on bleach." Obviously, at some point, somebody may have gotten an idea. Maybe they did some different stuff and things, and maybe it didn't work out well for them. So, for liability purposes and stuff, Fizz, you've been around long enough. We have people occasionally eating solidish pieces of detergent.
Mm.
Why? Now, they may have looked kind of candy like, and occasionally I may have looked at them with a particular eye, but then I realized I'd be putting some form of detergent or soap in my mouth. So even in some of I neglected to do it, and a bunch. I don't know. I
And
don't know. Maybe
depending on when you human children were raised, you already are well aware what soap tastes like, and do not want a reminder ever.
it's. Oh my god, we're talking about stool in the chat. Where have we
Yep,
gone?
they're talking about dogs
That's
eating poop. You want to know why dogs eat poop? Because their sniffer is so good that poop doesn't smell gross to them. It smells like all the food that didn't get digested yet. So it just smells like awesome foods because they're getting way more
Fizz.
detail out of their sniffer.
Is there something you'd like to share with the class?
No, not me.
Didn't you eat cow pies at one point at Deej's?
No, I threw the cow pies.
I thought you tasted it.
I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe I'm misremembering here. Maybe you blocked that out from your current fizz brain
I
because of.
could have. I'll have to ask Deej if that was one of the things he said I did. I remember him being mad that I was playing with them and like throwing them at him
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's
frisbees.
yeah. They call them cow pies. Usually
Why
not
are
that
you
much
gonna call it
pie
a
in them.
pie? That's so misleading. Just like mud pies. Like, don't call that pie. That's messed up. Especially if there ain't
So
no
what?
well, yeah. Yeah, no,
So what
there
you're
ain't even
saying
no
is
crust. That's like a
we need
pastry,
a
not a pie.
we need a better label mud and cow pies. All right.
Mm.
That's well, I oh no.
Yeah.
The
When they little, they
the
don't seem to be doing digestions very much good.
no.
Wow.
Okay. To be fair, Dan brings up a good point here. If one is dealing with like a Mississippi. Okay, I think this might be where the confusion comes in, just because within popular culture, especially if you go to an ice cream place, there might be things called Mississippi mud pies and stuff, which technically are made up of like lots of delicious chocolates and all
Yeah.
these other treats. So if you're going to call that a mud pie within a restaurant, typically they're
If it's
serving you
served in
more
a yeah.
foodish
If it's
things.
serving
But
it in a restaurant, there's like laws, thank goodness. In this country at least, there's some laws that keep you from serving poop and mud as food. Um I don't know about other countries, it's a little questionable, but at least in this one, um so yeah, if it's serving at a restaurant,
poop is not on the menu.
like as I also this I want to bring up a complaint because the Mississippi mud pie have had that. They do that in Louisiana too. Uh it's delicious. Another interesting pie encounter. It was called the Mile High Pie, and I will forever be salty that that wasn't even a quarter mile high. Mm-mm. Wasn't even a
The
yard high.
oh oh, you mean like mile high apple pie?
Mile High Pie was a very tall chocolate pie. I guess like your whole group, like a whole family's supposed to eat it. I ate it.
Hmm.
Some of these look like ice cream.
I mean, it does kind of look like okay.
Yeah, but
That's at least
that is
pie.
right. That is a lot of these pictures though. That is about how high the Mile High Pie at this restaurant was, and so I'm pretty salty because, like I said, that's it's not even a
It's
foot
false
really. I don't think.
advertising.
Yeah.
Now, did they have it in quotes? Did they say mile high with an asterisk and be like pie is not actually a mile high, or did they just
Um,
call it that and be like, oh,
that's just the name of it. Sorry.
okay? Because I was gonna say, as long as you're not trying to actually push it as like a mile high pie, it's like I feel like that's one of the things. Again, I'm not an attorney or anything, but I'm just like I feel like somebody could have brought that up. The reason why, because I remember Subway got sued because their foot long bread was only about like 11 and a half inches
Yep.
on average. So all
Yep.
of a sudden it's like, no. You either mean to make your bread bigger or you change the name. So I think they made it bigger.
Yep. I think maybe they did, but yeah, I think stuff like that's funny because when at least now when places try to advertise that stuff, people really will come in with measuring tools. Man, they will come in with a ruler, whatever you need, a little scale. I've seen people to weigh their steaks.
Well, that's why like McDonald's they give themselves the out and stuff like that. Yes, our quarter pounder net weight before cooking. What does
Yeah,
that mean? You got a frozen patty, you got to cook it, so you got to heat up some water. The water's going to absorb off, thereby you have under a quarter pound after cooking. So
yeah.
they just put
Well,
that there, and then you just
that and fat melts off. And so a lot of steak places, people started coming in with little scales going, this is not a whatever pound steak or whatever. And so they had to start going, it was before we cooked it, but you see, stuff evaporates, changes forms, stops having the same weight once you're done cooking it. That is why you always weigh your steaks raw, and then eat them that way too, because then you get way more steak.
Mm. Hello, my old friend.
Hello,
That's
darkness, my old
that.
friend. Is
This
this?
this
Is
is
this?
actually
I've seen this in. I
yes.
saw this in my feed. Piper was very unhappy about seeing it in her
I
feed.
saw this. Apparently, this is the face of an ant close up, more on human size. Like if you actually were to zoom in, it's like, all right, you got your little there, and oh my god, ants actually have eyes and stuff. I feel like I should have known that. I just usually see the antennas and stuff like that. Yeah, it kind of looks like something out of. Actually, to be fair, when I first saw it, I thought it was from like Super 8 for a second because they never. You don't get
I
that many good looks at
I
the
thought it
creature,
was
the
a
alien.
kaiju, like a kaiju design for a movie. I was like, "Oh, what's this thing?" And then I seen because it was just in my feed. I didn't click on anything.
Yeah.
Um, I just saw like I don't know that and a description or something as a close up of an ant, and I'm just like, "Bro, this is some good kaiju monster movie material right here."
Oh no, no, well, no, they've done this. Them, the ants, about the giant ants. To be fair, though, this is what we had them before, and again, pretty scary movie, at least back in the day, because you're like, oh, what if they're big
Yeah,
ants?
because
All right, now what if they
that is
remade
what
this?
I thought ants
What if they
look
remade it
like.
to this? How much more terrifying would that be?
What kind is
I
this a
feel like,
specific kind of ant? Because I still feel like that's
yeah,
not
they're different.
that's not how ants House of the Dragon or more.
No, it's around the excellence of photography. Front paw, blah blah blah. I didn't. I don't know. They don't. Hold on. Let's say ant. Just
An ant.
no. It's describe the ant's face. Okay, they're not even listing it. They're just saying ants.
Mm.
That's very descriptive. But I can kind of see it there. But it's like that's not how we usually view things like observers like us on about a scale of a meter or so. Because like most humans typically we're like I don't know about a meter tall. Some of us 2 meters or so. So that's the magnitude. Typically, human beings usually weigh, I don't know, 50, 100, 150, whatever, kilograms or so. So it's like we've got a particular range. As soon as you start going down to an ant, which is, I don't know, depending on the ant, maybe a centimeter, maybe 2 centimeters, occasionally, maybe a little bit less than that. Usually not looking an ant in the face like you do with your fellow meterish human. So I think that's some of the scale where all of a sudden, if the ant was our size, is the size of a horse, or I don't know, a little bigger than a helicopter, according to some of those pictures, then yeah, things might look a little bit different. Kind of
Oh,
like
okay. I made the mistake of just googling close up of ant,
that's what I did too.
and some of these pictures do look a lot more ant like than that one. That one just managed to like not make me think of an ant. Barely make
It's
me
because
think of an
well, it's
insect
zoomed in.
even.
It's zoomed in very far, and they have the low light, so it kind of like blends in. So it's a horror movie like thing. So
That is yes, no, I mean some ants just as zoomed in
it look a
still
lot
look
more
different
ant-like.
because there's
Yeah,
different kinds of ants. So
yeah.
that's why I'd like to know what kind of ant that is. But yeah, no, that's back to being terrifying.
Okay, yeah. It's. I'm not sure if it's getting better or worse.
You know what's
This,
really extra freaking me out is that ants have like the what looks like the bulbing eyes on the side.
mm,
And from what all these close-ups are telling me is that those aren't always its eyes, but they're there.
huh.
But on some of these, it looks like it would have to be their eyes.
Well, how about this? Ants have eyes.
Ants have eyes? Question mark?
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm still in pictures. Most ants have two large compound eyes. They have a set of simple eyes which consist of many of the eye facets, ciliae, which detect light. Ants also have two antennae. Uh,
Oh Jesus! It has way more eyes.
oh, so it's got many eyes. Ooh.
Okay, so they've got the big compound ones.
Go to Australian Geographic, the science of ant eyes. No, I do not want a subscription. The smaller you are, the harder it is to see obstacles. Now, that's fair. If everything was ginormous, yeah, we could be operating on a different scale. Number of diameter. Okay, all right. So seeing is. Oh, see, look, we're learning about sight right from our ant friends.
Yeah,
So it's okay because
relevant.
yay! All right, so they've got eyes, so there's going to be the ability to accept some form of a light, whether whatever frequency of the light. Because it's like, all right, humans typically we see in like ultraviolet. It's a very small range that we can kind of see, and then you'll have like infrared, and then you'll have like beyond ultraviolet, like a X-ray, a gamma ray. It's basically just the amount of energy that those little photons or what we conceptualize as light particles is carrying, just the amount of energy. We happen to see a particular range and frequency. We've developed along that. I'm sure the ants, they operate on their own frequencies that are useful and stuff. And apparently, I think, what is it? The mantis shrimp, I think technically has the fanciest eyes in the world. Because like
I
most
think
humans
that's
have, I
right.
think, yeah, most humans see, I think, mostly three colors, or we have three types of rods or cones or something like that. I'm
So
completely
what we see,
butchering it.
the primary
Some humans have
colors
four.
that makes all the other ones. So the
Hmm.
primary colors for us are the light waves that we can see, and then some animals apparently it's weird because like I can't imagine seeing colors that
We haven't seen.
we haven't seen. Yeah, see,
How can you describe something that is yet to be seen? It's like, you might be able to write down some equation. Maybe you could get a. It's kind of like, what is it? Magenta. People say magenta isn't a color, but it's weird because it's
no, it is. Pink is the what's technically not a real color. It's just a shade of.
oh, that's what it is. There's no wavelength apparently for magenta, so we perceive it only when the shorter long coats pick up. Okay, so basically,
Yeah,
there's no specific color if you're gonna do the whole infrared and like ultraviolet frequency. There's no magenta per se, but we see the combination of what it's made of, and it registers to observers like us.
mm.
That's why people go around and say, oh, magenta doesn't exist. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily
I've
true. It's
never
like
heard
we have
of
something.
magenta. I've always heard pink doesn't exist, but it's the same it's the same explanation as magenta is our eyes
I mean,
make up for something else.
it's
But
actually my
that's
favorite
where
color.
you have like observer misinformation technically because your brain fills in the blanks.
So it's an
This is
emergent.
especially true with eyesight.
Well, seeing as it has something to do with something light, it's at least to our knowledge. I'm gonna make the very bold claim and say something electromagnetism. So there's probably some charge involved
Magnets, how
there.
do they work? I just wanted to fill in. Okay, the reason I was confused is because that close up of some of the close ups of ants look like they have like little red eyes.
Hmm.
Those aren't eyes; those are just part of the antenna.
Ah,
But it makes it look like
okay.
they have little red. That picture made it look like they had little red eyes, and I was like, that's why it's not registering as an ant to
They
me.
may have kind of gone for that on purpose. I feel like that was a photograph contest. So it's like, all right,
It
if you got a
was.
camera that good, you could just take yes, you could just take a picture of an ant and people like, oh, well, that's an ant. Let's get a little bit closer. Get a little bit closer. A little bit closer. Oh, this is kind of creepy. All right, let's adjust the lighting so it looks extra creepy.
Yeah,
And now there's a
there's
whole
a few
bunch of
other pictures that are like that. That one I think was the best in terms of transforming a close up of an ant to making it register is not an ant. Like the other ones, even as close up as that one, are still a little more ant-like. What's also extra weird is that close-ups of ants are not nearly as freaky as just a mass of ants, of little ants.
Yeah. Well, it's because that's a lot of them. They return in greater numbers because they hear that you have nom noms and everything, so they do all their different stuff. But all right, hey, we're past the hour mark here. We've done some stuff here. Is it useful? I have no idea, but it was kind of fun. So, Fizz,
We got to talk
what
about
you got
poop,
going on?
so
Yeah, a little bit,
it
a
was a
little
good
bit of
day.
stool humor.
Hmm.
So, Fizz,
Theorizing the taste of poop.
that's why it's very tasty to some canines. But Fizz, what do you got going on?
Well, in a little bit, I'm going to attempt again to defeat Diablo by myself.
Mm. Soloing the Lord of Terror?
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, you have a friends because you're playing Ranger or I
Druid,
forget.
but he's
Druid.
designed where the first thing he does is this spike cage comes up and grabs all my friends and kills them. So
Oh,
yeah, the only one that lasts a little bit is the mercenary that I can hire. That dude lasts a little bit. It's mostly just me.
I then again, it's personally, I never really had that problem. I think, yeah, it was, yeah, actually, to be fair, I think the only two times I ever fought Diablo in D2 was I was using my Necromancer, which it was basically a Blood Golem Iron Maiden like Thorns build. So basically, the
Ooh.
Blood Golem, as long as it didn't get basically one shot, all the damage that was inflicted to it had my Iron Maiden course, which would redirect the damage many-fold over. And then the thorns or whatever, I think it directed it back at the. But the Blood Golem healed the percent of the
Ooh.
damage it did. So as long as it didn't get one shot, it would continue to go. So Diablo was basically fighting him, and then I just survived the Bullen Cage. Or I was a sorcerer, and it was like I just blinked out of the bone cage and just spammed frozen orb because that's the thing.
I definitely need to change tactic or something. But my favorite thing about Druid or Ranger, depending on the game, characters is the fact that I can run through the entire game as if I am an entire party, and it's actually just me and my beautiful children's me and my posse. I love doing that. Because you can technically solo a lot of stuff that way. It's not working out. The build's not working out so great for Diablo. It's also the fastest I've run through the campaign, and
You might also just need some more leveling.
yeah, and I'm like,
might
so
also
I might be
if you
under
got
leveled.
through for yeah. I'm not exactly sure how the dynamics and the difficulties and everything work. It's been a while,
But
but
everything else dies pretty easy. It's just him, so I don't know.
we've got fizzes and we got some of Piper's things in the chat below. You're going to be doing that tonight. Was at 9 p.m. EST? Couple
Yep.
hours.
Yep, couple hours. I should probably eat like something that's not just a bag of nuts.
Yes. And maybe Puff will have his brand of nuts or something coming out soon. But that's all we got for right now, folks. And remember, as always, no wolf goals were heard in the making of this broadcast.
So I know I should be wary.
That's the wrong one. Oops.
I'm broken. You broke me. Oh no. Oh dear. You guys? You guys! I just want to hug